The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 102. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Visit our blog at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan. And today I have a special lady on all the way from Singapore. So you can imagine, this lady's in Singapore. I'm in Hawaii. The time difference is just insane. I think it's like 18 to 20 hours. I'm not even sure. But it's amazing what happens when you can connect on the internet. So, I'm really grateful for that. And, she has an amazing story that she's going to share with us today. She is an online entrepreneur, and her name is Tracy Pang. So, Tracy, how are you doing today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Oh, yeah, I'm great. Thanks for having me here on your podcast. Yeah, just like Sheena has introduced me, I'm all the way from Singapore. So, yeah, I'm a online entrepreneur, which I started about maybe 6 months ago after I left my counseling job in St. Hilda's secondary school. So, first I started off as selling Amazon books, ebooks on Amazon Kindle. Then after that, recently I started an online marketing opportunity, and I work with website owners to SEO that website. So I'm also a blogger and business coach or mentor lah. Yeah, so that's briefly about me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, what's your cultural background?
My cultural background is I'm born in Singapore and grew up locally. So you can see that I'm not very good in my English because actually my main language is my mother tongue, which is Chinese. So my parents divorced when I was in my teens. So now staying with my mom. So she is a Chinese speaker. So that's why I'm always good at my Mandarin and not my English lah. So I have a elder sister who is also married and living on her own.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I think your English is fine. Don't worry. When I first came to Canada, I couldn't speak English either. I had to take English classes. So, we all go through it, especially, Asian kids coming from like an Asian country going into places like Canada and the US. So thanks for sharing that. And, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
My favorite self-confidence quote is by Nick. Okay, I cannot pronounce his last name. I think it's called Chick, which is like, life isn't about having, it's about being. You could surround yourself with all that money you can buy, and you still be as miserable as a human can be. I know people with perfect bodies who don't have half the happiness I have found. On my journeys, I see more joy in the slums of Mumbai and the orphanage of Africa than in wealthy granted communities and on sprawling estate worth millions. Why is that? You find contentment when your talents and passion are completely engaged in full force. Recognize instant self-gratification for what it is. Resist the temptation to grab for material objects like the perfect house, the coolest clothes, or the hottest car. The "if I have just X, I will be happy" syndrome is a mass delusion. When you look for happiness in mere objects, they are never enough. Look around and look within.
I love that quote, and it's true. Sometimes, you see people, especially with Asian culture, we always tie success to material things. And, it's great and all, but sometimes those things are just a temporary way of happiness, right? And so many people try to go after that all the time, right? It's like you got to have the house, you got to have the car, you got to have the nice things, and not knowing people are really unhappy on the inside. So, I really love that quote that you mentioned. And what would be your definition of self-confidence?
Actually, interestingly, when I was studying for a counseling degree, my lecturer actually have this definition of self-confidence and self-esteem. which I think people are always confused between self-confidence and self-esteem. So for me, right, I define self-confidence as having the trust in oneself that he or she has the abilities to do what they intend to do. And then self-esteem, on the other hand, is the image that you perceive yourself to be lah. So that's why I think it's important to have both self-confidence and self-esteem, and it's important to be able to differentiate them, because without self-confidence, right, you will not be able to have self-esteem. That's what I think.
I like that, and it's true, right? You know, a lot of people don't realize that self-confidence and self-esteem are two different things. So I'm really glad that you mentioned both definitions for our listeners. So thank you so much. And, you know, Tracy, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
Oh, actually, before the discovery of self-confidence, my life is typically in a mess lah, because I grew up in an abusive family. So I was abused by my dad when I was quite young lah. So that's why my parents divorced when I was a teen, because the case was reported and he was jailed for the abuse offense. So for me, on several occasions when I was in my teens, I attempt suicide, and on many occasions. So being in a negative state and having a victim mentality, right? So for me, it's like life was spiraling down, and then I was like attracting the wrong people in my life. So I wasn't someone who see a future for myself. And then I think the worst part for me is that I try to drag everybody down with me. So whenever I feel bad, right, I want other people to feel bad for me also, because I don't know, it's like a sense of achievement or something like that. But that is my life before my the discovery of self-confidence.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And, you know, it's great that you were able to, you know, report that abuse, because, you know, there's so many, you know, women in Asian countries that, you know, they are in these situations and they can't even report it, or, you know, places like China, they don't even recognize it. So I'm really glad you're able to come out of it and be able to, you know, survive from it, right? And, you know, it was that aha moment when you realized that, you know, you were someone who can do something, you know, you weren't going to be negative anymore, you were going to just make a change in your life.
Actually, I have a few aha moments in my life, and it all started with one motivation video that I saw on YouTube one day when I was maybe 17. I can't remember the exact age, but I still can remember briefly what the video is about. A person that has a heart hurt a lot of times, and then because of this hurt, right, he typically grew up to be a stronger person. And then there was some day this person asked him, why? Because you getting hurt and hurt again, then you still be able to like go up stronger and trust people. Then he said something like, because it's from all this hurt that you grew. So I thought, wow, it's such a like inspiring story, and then it impacted me quite a lot lah. So at that time I was quite negative, right? So but then because after I watched the video, I slowly moved out, and then but I didn't really take a massive action, and I was some sort still struggling with life, because like in Asian country, typically you have to like listen to your parents, because for us it's like you have to respect your elderly, even though sometimes their advice might not be that wise lah. So to me that time, because I was living with my mom, so I have to like listen to her. Hey, you have to do this, you have to do that. So I struggle a lot. Then after my diploma years, then my diploma certification, I went on to be employed by Singapore Business Service, which I work as an admin officer lah. So over there, right, I have to be very independent and like very confident, because if you don't be confident, inmates will like bully you, and then when they see that you can be bullied, right, then you can only say good luck to you because it's like especially when you deal with male inmates, right, sometimes they can be very violent, so you have to be a bit careful lah. So then after that, I went to take a counseling course in January, and I resigned from the service so that I can concentrate fully on my studies. So that alone, taking a counseling course, it was a big eye eye-opener for me, and it caused a massive shift in my thinking. And so that's why I was able to walk out of the abuse and slowly be able to share with others my story, and then even have a chance to feature my story on a live radio on a local radio show called 938 Station. So that was like, if I were to say my biggest aha moment will be my counseling course.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, you've gone through some crazy things in your life. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to work in serving like male inmates. So, I mean, that does take a lot of courage and confidence to be able to stand up to them, especially like being, like you said, an Asian woman, right? I think sometimes we get the short end of the stick. So, so thanks for sharing that. And, what's your life like now?
My life is just too amazing and epic after I embark on a personal journey towards becoming a more confident person. So typically when my friend asks me, hey, how is your day today? How are you today? I was like, very exciting for me because I'm enjoying myself every day then, and I'm constantly learning new things in my life.
Awesome. And I'm glad you're able to turn something, from abuse to something now that you're always happy. You're always looking forward to life. You're always learning. You're always willing to learn something new. And, it's always great to see that, right? Because I like to show other women, right, especially in cases like that they can come out of like a dark time in their life and be able to live, a happier life like what you're doing right now. So, thank you so much. And, if the woman who's listening to your story, she might be in a similar situation that you were in before, and what would be that one tip you would give to her regarding to her self-confidence?
I would say that never let people dictate how you should feel and how confident you should be with your life or who yourself truly is. So you are the one who have control over your life. So no matter what happened to you in the past or even in the current situation, you might like have a very dark moment. You have the ability to create a future that you truly want, and you can do it.
I love it, and it's true, right? It's always up to you to make the things happen, no matter what situation you're in. I know some situations may be a little bit rougher than some, but there's always that decision that you can turn it around, just like what you did, right? So thank you so much. And Tracy, if our listeners want to get to know a little bit more about you and your story and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
You can visit my blog at www.tracypang.com, or you can connect with me on my Facebook profile, which is www.facebook.com/pang.x.qi.
All right. Thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Tracy and get to know her, or maybe get to know a little bit more what she does, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Tracy's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I really just want to thank Tracy for taking the time to share her story. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you to you also for having me on this.
No problem. It's just an honor to have you on. So listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us on the Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit thetaoofselfconfidence.com for links to everything we chatted about today, as well as killer resources, gifts, and so much more. Start your inner journey to self-confidence today.